It's been a crazy week, isn't it?
It's been good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been an absolutely great
The time
week.
when I'm not supposed to shut up. But
It's been an absolutely great week. And he's going to count me in right now. Guys, welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. An absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network on a show presented by Yes Realty Partners. Absolutely a team you can trust. Yes Realty Partners, ladies and gentlemen, are the best of the best. Today's program, a dynamic one. Keith Smith is in the house after a one-week hiatus where he was bicycle riding for a very good cause to honor fallen veterans in our country. He proudly served as a Marine himself, and Keith Smith maybe a little sore in the tail feather,
and the tush.
but
no, it's officially the tush. It's the
sore in the tush. But he's in the saddle today, ready to star on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
If I'm squirming a little bit, then you know why. It's not because of the questions, not because of the topic, it's because of the tush.
And we got a lot of topics to cover.
We've got a little bit of topics, but I definitely want to start off with my personal dear friend, Ned Galloway. Not only is he a personal dear friend, he is an advocate for this community, and he puts in 110% of the time. He shows up to the fights. You don't get any better than that. You may not sometimes agree with some of his decisions, but he shows up and he stands there and takes the slings and arrows. Well, if you haven't known, he had a devastating thing happen to his family. He lost his house a few days ago. So there is a GoFundMe account. So this is a plea for money. This is a plea to help out somebody who's helping us, regardless of what you might think of one's political position. This is about helping out another human being. So let's help out him and his family. There's a GoFundMe account, and I think Judah can post it, or somebody can post it.
I've got it up on screen.
But Judah has the link. Do you have the actual URL?
I've got the URL on screen.
Okay, fantastic.
I emailed it to you.
Okay, fantastic.
So the simplest way to do it is literally just Google support the Galloway family recovery from house fire at GoFundMe.com. So that is just Google support the Galloway family recovery from house fire in Google, and a GoFundMe account. It'll go right to it. We need to donate money, please. We need to raise money so he can help take care of his family. Anybody who's ever been through this, I was on the phone with my dear friend Jesse Rutherford that lost his home 2 days before he got married.
Oof.
So this is a traumatic thing. It's a complete upheaval. I had the pleasure of talking to Ned on the way in this morning, so I can report he's in good spirits, but can use whatever support that we can give him. So, please donate. If it's $5 or way more than that, please do it. Every little bit will help so he can get his family back on track and righted. So please support. He's a good man.
I'm sharing the link, the Ned Galloway GoFundMe link. His house lost in a fire earlier this week.
Look at this. I'm watching the GoFundMe account right now. We just a couple people donated. So let's please do that.
I'm sharing that link on the I Love CVille Facebook page in the comments section, on the I Love CVille group Facebook page in the comment section, on my personal Facebook page in the comment section. I will share it on the I Love CVille food Facebook page in the comment section. Those 4 pages together, north of 30,000 followers. We will syndicate it across the I Love CVille Network. Ned Galloway, I highlighted this earlier in the week on the I Love CVille show, one of the very good men in Albemarle County. A man who, without question, has his heart set on leaving Albemarle County in a better position than when he first arrived here in the 6th largest county of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
I can tell you, as someone who sits in meetings with him on a regular basis, I personally have learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from him on how to chair a meeting. He's really a stellar at doing that, and it makes a difference to make sure everybody has a voice and everybody has something to say, and particularly when there's a lot of diverse voices at the table. That's just a skill. But man, let's just take care of his family. He needs it. and let's just reach out and donate what we can.
I was quite impressed with Supervisor Galloway post-fire at his house, and he lost, Judah, was it two dogs perished in the fire, two family dogs, 4 cats have since been missing since the fire. Fortunately, no family members themselves hurt in this fire. But Supervisor Galloway released a statement through the county post-fire thanking Albemarle County fire, rescue, and police personnel.
Let's put that in a little bit of perspective. I know a little bit about this. I'm used to run EMS for 20 years out in Fulvana County, particularly Lake Monticello. I'm from a family of New York City firemen. You know, hats have to go off to the Albemarle County Fire Department and their teams, because there was a strong risk there of that spreading to other homes, and they were able to control that. I think by the time they got on scene,
2 other homes damaged,
but they didn't lose them.
That's
right?
correct.
And you know, that's the biggest fear in these type of situations where they start jumping from house to house to house, and it can get ugly real fast. Not that, you know, it was tragic that he lost his home, but I do want to give a bit of shout out to the fire department and the fire services, because at least they were able to contain it from other homes being lost and other families ending up in the same situation and other possible loss of life. So, you know, you see a fireman out there or a cop out there, do yourself a favor, thank them.
Absolutely, and this is coming from a man whose family is very much fire and rescue. Not only Keith and Yonna donating their time as emergency medical technicians, EMTs, but his father, folks, a firefighter himself.
I got to brush off those skills the other day.
I saw your Facebook post. It was a car that flipped over.
Yeah, it was very fortunate.
Ray Cadell says, Ned Galloway, a good guy, and he has always been supportive of the arts and the school system, the arts in the school system. William McChesney, thank you for watching the program. Folks, like and share the show. We'll welcome a newspaper and 2 television stations to the I Love CVille show. Supervisor Galloway, we've been thinking about you all week long, man. I sincerely mean that. I had a conversation with you about you over the dinner table with my wife, and our thoughts and prayers.
And he was sitting in this seat.
To you, Supervisor Galloway, this past Friday. Diantha McKeel also in the seat, and we talked about the Jack Jewett race. Diantha McKeel is retiring as a long-term supervisor in Albemarle County. Her district, the Jack Jewett district, and Supervisor McKeel has embodied the positive spirit of the Jack Jewett district. May not always agree with what Supervisor McKeel is doing from a vote standpoint, but very much like Supervisor Galloway, she bleeds Albemarle County. She has since announced that she will retire, and there's 2 contestants, Dave Shreve and Sally Duncan, who are pursuing the seat, both Democrats. So this election will be determined in June at the Democratic primary.
At the 17th. Democratic primary 17th, which kind of bleeds into a couple of the stuff that I posted today. So where do you want to kick off? Do you want to
I think we should start with the Jack Jewett district.
Yeah, sure. So
good morning, Yonna Smith.
So Albemarle County I did a post out there so everybody can go take a look at it. I did an update as of this morning of who's running, who's contested, because we've had this conversation on the show a couple of times. That, you know, there's a couple of seats out there that people haven't announced yet, and they have until the 17th to do that, right? And I know we'll talk about Nelson County, because there's a couple of, at least 3 independents that I think are going to announce based on the sources of the conversation. But in Albemarle County, you know, we were talking about Diantha is not running again, and you have the 2 candidates, which is Sally Duncan and Dave Shreve. Shreve, thank you. So that primary is on the 17th, and to your point, once that's over, then that district's going to be done because there's nobody else running against it. The Samuel district, Miller district, is interesting. It has a Republican and a Democrat running on that, so that is going to be a true contested race. You've been talking about that for a while. It's Fred Missel and Scott Smith, no relation, by the way. Excuse me for a second, I'm losing my hearing aid here. I can't
Fred
hear.
Missel and Scott Smith. Scott Smith, the Republican. Fred Missel works for the University of Virginia.
He actually works for the foundation.
Yeah, for the UVA Foundation. Scott Smith, a small business owner, relatively new to the area, embodying the Republican Party with his race, running as an R, not as an independent, but running as an R in the Samuel Miller district. Interestingly, I learned this from Diantha McKeel. The largest of the 6 districts in Albemarle County is the Samuel Miller district.
Yeah.
The least populated of the 6 districts in Albemarle County is the Samuel Miller district. The wealthiest of the 6 districts in Albemarle County is the Samuel Miller district. And there's some conversation going on right now, viewers and listeners, that do you have the district map that you can put on screen of Albemarle County? If you could put that on screen, give me a thumbs up so I can let the viewers and listeners know to look. There's some chitter chatter going on right now that the Samuel Miller district may actually have to expand some more. Look at the screen now. The I Love CVille Network, guys, is on point. Judah Wickower running a fantastic show. You're not getting this from any other news source, ladies and gentlemen.
He's wearing a nice sweater.
The Samuel Miller district, look at the screen. There's some talk that this district may need to expand because the districts there cut to be even with population. And right now, the Samuel Miller district, because of its wealth, because the homeowners have large lots in the Samuel Miller district, it does not have the population to match the other 5. So Diantha made the point, do we really want this district, which is what? You'd say about a third of Albemarle County is the Samuel Miller district, expanding even more in size when it's the wealthiest. It's the purple one. Look at the screen, folks.
So it's expanding in geographic size or individual size? So
I don't understand that question.
Yeah, so are we trying to expand the voter pool in that district?
So there's 6 districts, and you
Yeah.
want the same amount of population in all 6.
100%.
And right now, the Samuel Miller district is lacking in population compared to the other 5. So they're talking about taking a piece of the other 5
So that's
to make the
redistricting.
population even.
So that's redistricting, and redistricting, it goes through on a periodic basis, and I can't recall how many years that they do that, but they get an opportunity every couple of few years to relook at that and redistrict it. And that is something to always take a close look at, right? Because then you kind of see it. Now, I have some personal experience with that in Fluvanna County, because when they redistricted in 2000, I actually got cut out of Lake Monticello, even though I live in Lake Monticello, which would be the Ravenna district, and got put into my dear friend Chris Fairchild's Cunningham district. So I used to have to go all the way over to Scottsville, or Antioch Glen to be exact, to go ahead, Antioch, to go ahead and vote. Good news is, over by the Food Lion, there is now a election office for Fluvanna County, so we can go actually vote there. But it used to be a 20, 30-minute drive to go ahead and do that. So it's something, redistricting is something to really take a close eye on it. But at the moment, these elections that we have on the 25th, those districts are set, right? And this is who we've got in play. So at the moment, Albemarle County, the Jack Jewett is a contested race. We have 2 Democrats that decision is going to be made on the 17th. The Samuel Miller, to your point, is not going to get decided until Election Day, which is in November, and we have a Democrat and a Republican, and I'd love to hear your feed on who you think is going to win on that one. And then
I can give you my predictions on all of them, and we're going to start highlighting very succinctly and offer our commentary on what we think are the best people to vote for in Albemarle County on the I Love CVille show. The Jack Jewett district, I think, has a clear-cut best candidate here. I'll save that for our 12:30 show, because on Real Talk with Keith Smith, we do not talk politics. But
well, we talk politics, but we're not going to pick sides. So to your point, after I get back from my little trip in June, we're going to start a series of roundtables, which I can share it now. Next Friday, we're going to have definitely Juan Diego Wade here at the table.
The mayor of Charlottesville on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
And possibly Brian. We're trying to get schedules.
The vice mayor, Brian Pinkston, they're running as a ticket. They're also neighbors, Brian Pinkston and Juan Diego Wade. They're seeking a second term on Charlottesville City Council. The mayor and vice mayor, Juan Diego Wade and Brian Pinkston. They have some competition in Jen Fleischer.
And they do. And a little bit later, I want to kind of get into this ranked choice voting, because I did a lot of work.
I know, you made an analogy to pizza
in
your RCV.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's always pizza.
Yeah, it's a pizza.
Pizza. But because I didn't want to, show favorite to one way or the other, right? So we're going to have Juan Diego. We're going to have Brian here. Hopefully, that at the moment, tentatively, it's a yes, but we haven't fine-tuned it yet. and we're going to dive into a bunch of topics, and one of the topics is going to be the zoning, and not necessarily the zoning ordinance, but can they turn red tape into green tape? Back to Albemarle County, at the moment, Ned is running uncontested. We won't know this until the 17th, but all the political junkies that I'm talking to, it doesn't seem like anybody's circulating petitions. Those who not petitions, but signatures to get on the ballot. For those out there who don't know exactly how this process works, you do have to get a certain number of signatures. It depends on the jurisdiction, right, and the number of people in seat in the voting district. But you have to have that. It has to be verified, and then you make your announcement, in this case, by the 17th of June on it. So the likelihood at this point that the scuttlebutt doesn't have anybody, I'm hearing anybody out there, maybe you are, getting signatures for Ned's thing, he might be running uncontested.
The Rio District, I believe that would be his third straight. If no one runs against Ned Galloway in the Rio District, that would be his third consecutive uncontested competition
and
run
I will tell you,
in the
he
Rio
wants
District.
somebody to run against him.
I know he does.
Yeah, I mean
it's nice to have no competition, though.
Yeah, it makes life.
I understand that you want somebody to run with you on the record,
Well,
but off the record, it's nice to have no competition.
100%. Yeah. It's nice to know the winning lottery tickets before you pull your first.
I mean, let's cut to the chase. Who doesn't want a flux capacitor, a DeLorean, and the almanac that shows all the sports scores for the last 50 years?
Oh yeah, no kidding. Flavanna is uncontested, right? At this point, no scuttlebutt
Which is surprising to me, because the socioeconomic demographic and the political ideology that follows the socioeconomic demographic in Fluvanna County has changed quite a bit. There's a lot of middle class and upper middle class Charlottesville and Albemarle County that's moving into Fluvanna because they're being gentrified and cannot afford Albemarle and Charlottesville.
Particularly Lake Monticello.
Particularly Lake Monticello. The politics of Lake Monticello have changed dramatically.
And it's always changing, right? I've been there since '87. I think so. Right now, Mike Sheridan, which is the Columbia, is running unopposed.
One-time Fluvanna County baseball coach.
Chris Fairchild is running unopposed.
Friend of the program.
And then Tony, at the moment, is running unopposed. I think
Friend of the program.
I think Tony is, his district. If there's anybody that's going to slide into last minute, it's probably going to be that district.
Tony O'Brien embraces the Democrat Party. A Democrat through and through.
He does.
Chris Fairchild,
definitely an R.
A very strongly embracing Republican.
Strong R.
Mike Sheridan, strong R. Tony O'Brien, a Democrat, which is odd for Fluvanna.
Yeah, but I would say that Mike and Tony more lean towards the middle and the independent end of it, and so does also Chris. Even though he and I don't see eye to eye on housing, which is fine.
Chris and I hope you're watching the program, we see eye to eye on housing, Chris Fairchild. Someone tag Chris Fairchild, Tony O'Brien, and Mad Dog Mike Sheridan.
So I think, Chris is more in the middle on a lot of things. So in any event, Greene County, we're going to move to that. I've got 2 seats up. They're running uncontested as the moment. It's Doria. She's running again. She's an incumbent, and Steve Catalano was appointed in 23, and he's running for a full term. So as the information I've got from on the ground and what you can dig up in the Virginia voting online doesn't have that. Nelson County is the one that's going to be a little weird. Not weird, but I think you're going to see I got some inside baseball on that. Jesse Rutherford.
Love Jesse Rutherford. Had a conversation about Jesse Rutherford with a Nelson County businessman in the real estate space over Bodo's Bagels on Wednesday morning.
So in the North District, Harvey's not running, but there are 2 independents that are circulating for signatures that hopefully will make that date. So there's a potential somewhere around the 17th or there before it, we're going to find 2. That is going to turn into a contested case. At the moment, Jesse's running unopposed. which he likes, by the way. And in the Central, which is Ernie Reed's thing, he's rerunning, and there's one independent supposedly out there circulating things. So you could see Nelson County go from no contested to potentially 2 of the districts contested for sure, and then one that isn't. Louisa County, just to talk a little bit about that, you got the Cuckoo district. That's there's 3 up: Cuckoo, Jackson, and Louise. In the Cuckoo district, there is McCotter is running, but at the moment is uncontested. No scuttlebutt on that. In the Jackson district, Williams is running. No scuttlebutt on that. And then Eric Purcell, is not running. And at the moment, there are 3 candidates running for that. 1 Republican and 2 independents. You've got a Cosley, a Jones, and a Woodward running. So in the Louisa district, that's what you want to keep an eye on. There are going to be 3 folks running, and that won't be decided into November. So, we're going to keep a close eye on it. As I was mentioning earlier, once I get back from vacation, we're going to be already started inviting it. We're going to have roundtables in, obviously talk about housing. Get the candidates here on front of the camera and the microphones and chat housing.
Next Friday, Juan Diego Wade, the mayor of Charlottesville, on Real Talk.
And
with
possibly
Keith Smith.
Brian, but we'll see how.
Possibly the vice mayor, Brian Pinkston. A lot of notable viewers and listeners watching the program, and questions and comments coming in very quickly. First, I want to highlight front of the program, Mustache Dan Pettit, who's watching the show. One of the most fundamentally sound forehands you will see on a tennis court from Dan Pettit. Love Dan Pettit. James Watson, hello. Thank you for watching the program. Real estate broker, a talented one. Gary Palmer, hello. Supervisor Michael Pruitt, hello, and thank you for watching the program. Mike Plecker, thank you for watching the program. Dave Warwick, Lloyd Snook, thank you for watching the program. Viewers and listeners of an elected capacity, a nonprofit capacity, a small business capacity, and taxpayers across Central Virginia watching Real Talk with Keith Smith. Kevin Yancey from Waynesboro says, at the local level, political parties should not be in play. City council and school boards should not be tied to Republican or Democratic parties. Instead, they should all run as independents.
I've been saying, Kevin, I couldn't agree with you more. I've been saying that for as long as I've been behind this camera and microphone, that local elections should be devoid of national party. I also like housing, like real estate, right? All real estate is local, all politics is local. And that's one of the reasons why I want to start talking about it, because this local election cycle is going to impact possibly housing long-term down the...
Which jurisdiction do you think this local election cycle could impact housing the most? For me, it's very clear-cut. I'm curious of your answer to this.
Well, so I'm going to think about where the housing market is going at the moment. So the green would be not necessarily number 1, but the green would be something I'm keeping a close eye on.
I think Greene County is at housing capacity. I understand there's new units coming on market, but the appetite for new development after the approved units finish through the pipeline is zilch, zero, nada.
Talking about what elections in districts that could impact housing, positive and negative, right? Allow more, don't allow more, or whatever. It's definitely in Greene County because that's where the market's going. It's definitely in Fluvanna County, but we know pretty much how that path is.
Fluvanna County's done with housing.
Is going to go.
Would you agree Fluvanna County's done with housing?
Well, done is a big word. But
where's the development going to happen in Fluvanna?
I would say Fluvanna County is done probably for a couple election cycles.
Which is a long time.
Which is a long time.
That means any new housing coming in Fluvanna County, my oldest son will be out of college.
Well, I can tell you this much.
And he's 7 years old, folks. That's a long time.
Yeah, he may be 7, but that dude's like 17.
That's a generation right there. Where's the new housing going to come in Central Virginia?
So
for me, it's very clear cut where it could come.
Where could it come or where it's going to go?
Where it could come.
Okay, got it. So back on Fluvanna County, I could just tell you because I'm in the rooms. Developers are just not looking at it.
Yeah,
right. So developers are not looking at it.
I mean, you got Chris Fairchild on Real Talk with Keith Smith saying, "I don't want housing."
Yeah, it's just.
And he's running unopposed. And he's the alpha dog on the board.
Well, in defense of that, he's not saying that exactly. He just doesn't want he just doesn't want large developments. He'll not. It's a little bit disingenuous to say he doesn't want housing. He kind of does.
If I ask Chris Fairchild straight up, do you want new housing or do you want green space in
And he's
Fluvanna County?
going to give you a very political answer.
If I say, Chris Fairchild, do you want housing or do you want green space in Fluvanna County? His answer will be, I want green space. You disagree with that?
No, I don't.
Right.
He wants to keep it. It's going to go into a whole, and we're going to sit here and have this debate, right?
Someone get Chris Fairchild on the show right now.
And you and I having this debate's one thing, but to have this debate with the two elected officials or the people that are running at this point, it's going to be Chris and Tony and Mike if he wants to come on. He's more than welcome. I'm reaching out to all these folks to do it, but at the moment there's no contested. We'll see. It might change, but and I'm saying this with all my love for Albemarle County. And we're going to try to talk about this ranked choicing and with Juan Diego and Brian on next Friday. I don't see a lot of new projects coming in Albemarle County.
The only way there would be new projects coming in Albemarle County is if the appetite for the board for substituting development area materializes.
They're at a point that they'll talk about it right now. I do not see that happening in any
If
long.
Sally Duncan wins the Jack Jewett district, she will team with Mike Pruitt and potentially Ned Galloway for 3 votes of 6 to have the conversation and maybe gain momentum to take the development area of Albemarle County, which is restricted to 5%. And the chatter right now is a portion of that 5% will be subbed out for a portion that's outside the development area to give potentially better topography and better development upside for Albemarle County. A good example of that is my old neighborhood, the Glenmore neighborhood. There was a number of us in the Glenmore neighborhood that galvanized, strategized, and organized against Breezy Hill, the southern development project right outside the gates of Glenmore. And this group of Glenmore heavy hitters was able to politic Albemarle County and its Board of Supervisors to limit the density at Breezy Hill right outside the gate of Glenmore. And as a result, the Rivanna Village area, that's the area right around Glenmore, including Glenmore, right outside Glenmore, is really restricted to what development could happen. So Mike Pruitt, this is his district, the representative from the Scottsville district who's watching the show, has floated the conversation. We need to substitute out the Rivanna Village for another area of Albemarle County to allow more development housing to happen in the county.
So we're not increasing the 5%. All we're doing
Just
is
doing a substitute.
We're reportioning it to different things. It's kind of like the diet I'm on. I'm reportioning out my ice cream for something a little bit better.
Oreos don't count.
Oreos do not count. But much like the reason why not much is happening in the rezoning in Charlottesville as far as units in the ground.
Well, nothing's happening with the new zoning ordinance in Charlottesville is because it's mired in quicksand, which is a lawsuit.
No,
Definitely.
That is incorrect. It is mired, sir, in the red tape into green tape, which is also the problem that you have.
There's an active lawsuit against the new zoning ordinance.
Yeah,
what developer would pursue a new zoning ordinance if the new zoning ordinance could change?
Okay. Want me to push back?
Please
Okay.
do.
So the answer is yes, and I know many that are doing it, to include the land trust. The ordinance and the lawsuit is not really on the mind of the people that are looking to try to do these developments. What's really on their minds is the second half of it, which is the site plan portion and the red tape into green tape. That's the real problem, because that path is going to take the path it's going to take on it. But at the moment, because the way that the ordinance and the way the laws in the state of Virginia are set up, and particularly in this case, or all the jurisdictions, if I get a submittal in there and I get it accepted, right, and they change the rules or the lawsuit changes the rules, that's the ones I get to use because at the given moment, that was on the books. So most people that I know, and I know most of them that are doing this, are not really too concerned about the lawsuit. Nobody ever talks about the lawsuit.
You got Neil Williamson who's disagreeing with you. You got Dan Pettit who's disagreeing with you.
But they're not the developers, they're not the builders, they're not the people in the room that are actually doing the work. These are the people, at least certain ones I'm talking to, they're not worried about that zoning part. What the reason they're not doing it is a little bit opposite of Fulvana County, right? People are not going to Fulvana County because of the zoning ordinances, and because they just changed the rules because you can't subdivide anything by right any more than 5. People just are not gonna go there. Well, you've got the zoning ordinance that allows it in the city of Charlottesville, but the red tape kills it.
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah.
Evergreen Builders, which is a custom home builder and a developer,
Yep.
purchased a rancher home in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood. They spent north of $800,000 for this home.
Yep.
They purchased this home about a year ago.
Yep.
They want to build 6 luxury brownstones there.
Yep.
The 6 luxury brownstones absolutely fit within the new zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Nothing has happened with Evergreen, the developer, in
And
the
you know
Lewis
why?
Mountain neighborhood. Yes, because
It's got nothing to do with the zoning, Jerry.
it's the lawsuit and with the neighborhood that is. I've interviewed the head of the neighborhood association. He's come on the I Love CVille show.
Yeah, well-
he said we are utilizing the lawsuit and our covenants and restrictions in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood to keep Evergreen from building anything on this house.
Well, that may be true. The second half of it, which is nobody is talking about, is the the site plan process to get through it. If the zoning ordinance says you can do X, Y, and Z, now, if
Zoning ordinance says they could do 6 luxury brownstones.
correct, but is there a homeowners association in that?
There is not, but they found some covenants and restrictions, and they've utilized that on top of the lawsuit
Okay.
to
Covenants
keep.
and restrictions would supersede whatever the zoning. ordinance is.
Absolutely.
But to take that as an example of what's happening completely across the board is a little bit off kilter. The reality of it is that people are not getting projects approved. They're taking a year and a half. Our good friend Roger finally got, but he didn't get it approved. All he did was do a workaround and do a by right sublot subdivision. It actually did not implement the zoning ordinance the way it wanted it. They ended up doing a workaround, which pure genius on their part.
Pure genius and quite expensive.
And it shouldn't have to be done.
Quite
And
expensive.
that's the problem. And that's what we're going to talk to Juan Diego and Brian about on next Friday is if you really want housing affordability, if you really want to implement this rezoning ordinance, and if you really think you want to put units in the ground, it's not the zoning ordinance. Yes, it needs to be tweaked. Yes, there's a lawsuit going out there. Get all that. But the people that do this for a living immediately look to the other side and look to, okay, what is this process like? And they just back off. And that's what's killing it. And there's a couple of real adventurous folks like Roger who went out there and tried to give it a shot and got taken to the cleaners for a year plus.
Oh my God, the carrying cost of what he's doing here.
Unbelievable.
The headache, the heartache, the quality of life impact. I believe he's watching the program.
And ultimately what happens is there's less units going in the ground. They're going to be less affordable, right? They're going to sell to high-end buyers, right? And at the end of the day, what the intent of the new zoning reordinances or the new zoning rewrite, whatever you want to call it, is not going to get implemented.
Good.
And it's not because of the zoning ordinance, it's because of the site plan side of it and the approval side, which, if the elected officials wish to do something about it, it's in their control. There is no, if you want to change the zoning ordinance, there's a public process. It has to go through this whole process. But the Board of Supervisors, the City Council, can simply direct the city manager to loosen the rules.
The elected officials.
Well, they do it or not, it's a different story.
The elected officials would be foolish to touch this in any capacity while there's an active lawsuit going on.
Well,
You would be absolutely foolish. Juan Diego Wade, Brian Pinkston, Natalie Oshrin, Michael Payne,
but
and Lloyd
that's on the
Snook.
zoning side, Jerry. It's not on the implementation side.
They would be foolish to touch anything with this project in any capacity. Yeah. And think about this. If you're a developer and you're pursuing building new construction in the city of Charlottesville, do you risk being villainized by taxpayers and having neighborhoods pursue lawsuits against you? Evergreen legitimately has tried to do this in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood and is stuck with carrying costs. They spent over $800,000 on a house. They've had legal representation costs. I mean, they are well over
Site plan-
$1 million, and they haven't even done a damn thing to this project in Lewis Mountain.
Site plan cost, engineering.
Who would do
cost.
this?
Yeah.
Who would build anything in Charlottesville right now?
So you just answered the real reason it's not coming. It's multiple issues. It is potentially the lawsuit. It is potentially the thing. I'm just focusing on, because look, let's play this out, Jerry. Let's say they lose the lawsuit. Let's say they lose
The city of Charlottesville?
Let's say they lose
I think
the
there's a very good chance the city of Charlottesville.
It doesn't matter.
And the plaintiffs had the conversation with the plaintiffs. Even if the lawsuit doesn't go their way, they're going to appeal if they lose, because Judge Claude Worrell is a homeowner in the city and his wife is a housing advocate. So they're going to use that as an appeal to keep the case going.
Okay, so let's give you that.
This is years this is going to be going on.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. But let's say that today they lose. What can the city council do after that?
I mean, not listen to livable Charlottesville and housing activists.
Okay, no. Let's talk practical stuff. So they lose it, right? And you have a city council that wants pro-housing. What can they do?
If I was city council,
No. What can they do?
who? City council?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, city council can do anything they want.
No, that's not true.
I mean,
That's not true.
they approved one of the most radical new zoning ordinances in the country.
Okay, Jerry, you just lost that. So the zoning is over, but I have 5 elected officials, or 3 elected officials, that want more housing in the city of Charlottesville. What can they do?
I mean, the first thing that you would do if you were the city council is wait till the lawsuit is over. The second thing you could do is cut this ridiculous restriction of affordable housing. I mean, let me call it up. I have it in my email. Charlottesville affordable.
Okay, let me try it a different way. So the reason why I'm not too concerned about the lawsuits, because we'll see how it goes, because other jurisdictions have the lawsuits. Some won, some lost, some got changed. But let's assume the zoning ordinance, as they got approved just immediately today, doesn't exist. All they have to do is allow rezonings. So if you have 3 elected officials that want housing, all they have to do is set a signal. You know what, guys? No problem. Bring us deals. We're going to approve rezonings. Will they do that or not? It's a different story, right? Will they politically do that or not? But as far as a process is concerned, that's all they got to do. You only got to have 3 votes to say it. So today, magically today, the new zoning rewrite is gone.
The new zoning ordinance has this affordable housing requirement. 10% of units on a development project that is greater than 9 units.
Yeah.
60% of those units have to be tied, or excuse me, 10% of the units on a project that's greater than 10 have to have AMI of 60% for 99 years. That's absurd.
That's the rental. Is that only the rental side?
Yeah, that's the rental side.
Yeah.
So
owner side is 80%.
if you, but they're not going to build they're going to build rentals.
So to quote our good friend Lloyd Snook, the zoning ordinance can be tweaked, and those are things that got to be tweaked.
He said it was
But
a
the
living,
point-
breathing document.
100%. But the things I'm trying to get across here is if it magically went away today, all of that just went away. Supreme Court says, go away. And I have 3 elected officials that want housing. All they got to do is send a signal they're going to approve them. And then I'm telling you, the developers will come in, they'll go through the process, the rezoning process, and then approve them. Oh, by the way, even if they go through that, you still got the problem on the back end of the site plan end of it. So you cannot separate the zoning from the site plans. I've said this on the show in December when it got it approved, right? That said, this is not going to approve. You're not going to see 10,000 houses. If you see 1,000 in 10 years, it's a lot. If you see 100 in 10 years, it's going to be a lot.
The new zoning ordinance was approved in December of 2023. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now basically 18 months into this
and
project.
I don't think there's any.
And there's been nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing in 18 months
And what
from
did
the
I
new zoning
project in
ordinance.
that? What did I project in that December? That nothing was going to happen.
Jason Howard's watching the program. So with
Thanks, guys.
So with what Jerry is saying, with the appeals process you are describing, 5 years before a resolution, maybe, you've said before some projects take 6 years from concept to build homes. So in 11 years, we might see a change based off the new zoning ordinance. I cannot think of anything besides flat screen televisions that are less expensive now than in 2014.
100%. So
That's what my point that I've been making here is. housing activists, specifically Livable Charlottesville, have pushed a new zoning ordinance through that is so radically crazy that nothing has materialized in 18 years.
And-
If they've also caused a lawsuit for the city of Charlottesville because of this absurd.
Time out. I don't care if the good Lord himself wrote that zoning ordinance, it was going to get sued. There was going to be a lawsuit.
Respectfully disagree.
No, there was going to.
They eliminated single-family zoning. They eliminated R1. Did they not?
So
They eliminated R1 zoning.
So you're trying to rehash a battle that's already over. It's trying to get re-fought again, and it's going through the court's processes. The point I'm trying to make is, just from the zoning side of the coin now, Jerry, not the site plan side of it. That's the real problem, right? The zoning side of it is an emotional thing, and people get all worked up on all that stuff. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is turning red tape into green tape and holding up particular projects. If it went away today, it just went away.
But it won't.
It could. My point is when it goes away, and if there's a city, that's why elections matter, Neil Williamson, and if there is 3 elected officials sitting on the dais in the city of Charlottesville, councilors, that absolutely full bore want housing done, all they're going to do is approve rezonings. That they're just going to say, okay, no problem. Bring us the old rezonings kick in, go back. It's not a problem. It resorts back. Keith and Jerry get together. Hey, I got a piece of property. I know I got 3 votes because they want it, and we go through the process. Now, that process is laborious, super expensive, and takes forever.
What developer would deal with this?
What developers are trying to get the current one approved? There's dozens out there. There's a land trust that's trying to do it, right? So
Land trust, I would say, is an anomaly.
that's not true. I know a half a dozen people, small to medium-sized developers, that are trying to figure out a way. And the reason I know this is we're putting a team together to talk to the city NDS and the city thing, which includes for-profit and non-profits, to say, hey guys, while you guys are fighting this thing out in the courts, if you really want housing, then you need to work on this end of it. If you don't want housing, that's cool. It's not a problem. I'll take my toys and my Tinker toys and my dollars and I'll go someplace else, right? My point I'm trying to make is if it goes away.
That's a huge if, Keith.
100%. It's a huge I got that, but I don't want people to think that it's much like the project in Greene County in Standardsville. They thought it got rejected in a rezoning.
Yeah, and it just came back in another form without the proffer.
And no money to the county.
Yeah, without the proffer.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 500
But
units.
that's Stanley Martin. That is Stanley Martin.
That's actually not, but
Who is it then? Who's the developer?
I can't tell you.
Okay, I thought that was Stanley Martin. That was not Stanley Martin?
There's negotiations.
Okay,
going on,
okay.
So I got to be careful. with
Okay.
this. You and I are going off on this.
Okay,
I
yeah.
just got to make sure I don't get myself
Please,
into too much
please.
trouble. In too much trouble. But that's
We got
not,
a lot of comments coming.
But that's not who the developer is. Okay. They may be the end user, but that's not the
Okay,
developer.
so the end user is Stanley Martin. So
And
the
it
developer is putting this together so Stanley Martin can build houses.
Well, that's how That's how it works.
Right, but Stanley Martin is also a developer.
Correct, but they
In this case, they're not going to be the ones doing the development.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
how do-
I won't get you in trouble.
So
here.
how's
I
the
won't
Mets
get you, I
doing?
won't get you in trouble. How about the comments that are coming in here? This from Neil
I want
Williamson.
to talk ranked choice voting.
I think
Okay.
people are all loving what's going on right now. The
But
show's on fire here.
Before you do that, I want to send out a market thing. I think
Okay.
this is important, right? As we're sitting here right now in my 7-day cycle that we talk about everything on it, we are now down to 89 new houses and 95 in pending. So all this is now starting to reverse. Remember, for weeks and weeks and weeks, we were in 120, 130.
You're talking inventory.
I'm talking- thank you.
Available inventory to purchase.
Available inventory. And I think it's
Yeah.
important to tie into what we've been talking about here is we've just now substantially went below 100 new units a week, and we are towards the tail end of May.
I'm going to get to Neil Williamson's comments here in a matter of moments.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
think
go
the
ahead.
appetite for new housing in Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville, the politics, the appetite for new housing in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County is shifting.
Brother, the appetite for new construction and new housing in our 6th jurisdiction is about as close to zero.
And people are fed up. People are fed up with it. They're tired of it. And they see that all this multifamily is getting ramrodded into Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And I highlighted this on the I Love CVille Network, and people are getting tired of it.
You have to define what that means. But I can tell you...
Tired of the density, tired of the traffic, tired of the prioritization of rooftops when kids are learning in trailers in schools. Tired of going from Crozet, Virginia to their job in the city of Charlottesville and having to wait 50 minutes in traffic to go from Crozet to the UVA hospital.
So let's take Neil's thing, and I'm going to ask you what's your solution.
I can offer clear-cut solutions if you want me to. I'm very clear with solutions.
Neil's comments.
Neil's comment has a point of clarity for me. While the new zoning ordinance was approved by council in December of 2023, which is what I said, he said it went first into effect in February of 2024. So while I said it was 18 months, in reality it's June, February, it's 15 months. So it's not the 18 months I said, it's 15 months.
And Neil, correct me, it's even more than that, because the actual path, the site plan portion of that, wasn't put out until, I believe, August, right, of that year. So technically, you couldn't submit anything until that end of it is. So you had the approval, it went in effect, the zoning went in effect in February, but the actual, remember we were talking about this, waiting for this to happen, didn't happen until August of that year. So until August of that year, you couldn't do this. But what happened is the people that are in the space, after the decision in December, started working on projects that they had in the pre-submittal process, which takes months and lots of dollars spent in the engineering.
Neil also says this: the new zoning ordinance does not eliminate single-family housing. It allows multifamily housing and more zoning designations. It basically, for a layman's perspective, I'll say this: frees up zoning, has less rules and regulations with zoning, allows people to build various kinds of houses, various kinds of housing in neighborhoods that were otherwise single-family detached homes.
But Jerry, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
It doesn't, because on your left side, that's this hand, you can say, oh, we can do all this stuff on zoning. This is all really great. And then on the right hand, they put out this document in August and go, oh, by the way, you can't go over 3 units, because if you go over 3 units, it's a major site plan, which is ridiculously expensive, ridiculously problematic, ridiculously to get through. So they can say, hey, you can do all this great stuff over here, which is aspirational, and then they stick out this document in August and go, oh, by the way, if you're over X thousand of square feet, you got to do a full E&S pressure. If you're over 3, it's a major site plan. And then everybody went, this is ridiculous. It's too expensive to go ahead and do it. You could never get to the numbers. You will never get to the numbers in the aspirational side, which is the zoning side, because the site plan side just cut you off at the knees.
We can make a legitimate argument, viewers and listeners, that this new zoning ordinance has done more to harm new housing in the city of Charlottesville than the old zoning ordinance.
Yeah, slowed it down.
The old zoning ordinance that was in place was more positive for new housing than this new zoning ordinance. And this is why you don't listen to activist city council.
So the reason, let's forget about the what it is right now. You are right.
Absolutely, I'm right.
Let's forget about the what. The reason it all happened is what they were trying, with the whole intent here when they do the rezoning is to make this more of a by right process, which would to make the process smoother and shorter. It's done anything but that. It's on the aspiration.
It's convoluted everything.
100%. On the aspirational side, on the zoning side, it's confusing and convoluted, but that can be tweaked pretty easily. The site plan side, and I don't know if I can just do a justice of explaining how.
Oh, you've done a good job.
How
expensive.
Problematic, that is, it becomes a full stop. What'll happen?
But they're not going to touch the site plan while this lawsuit is active.
So let me tell you how this works, right? Because got clients right now, we're looking at it, and they're looking at trying to do something in Charlottesville. And I said, let's not look at the zoning ordinance. Let's take a look at the site plan side. Let's take a look at the rules. Can you build what you want to build within these 4 corners? And everybody's going, no way, there's no way I can do that. Doesn't matter what's on the zoning side. They look at that and they go, there's no way I can do it. It's too expensive. I'm not going to be able to do it. Forget about having to meet the affordable housing criteria. That doesn't even come up. They look at it, and as soon as you find out that they have anything over 3 units is a major site plan instead of a minor site plan, they go, bye-bye. So how does Greene County look? How does Nelson County look? We start looking at other
But
jurisdictions.
there's no development happening in Nelson County.
I think you're going to start seeing it out there. I think I'm going to call it right now. You're going to start seeing stuff. This is going to be really weird, but you're going to see stuff south of Livingston. You know why? They got water out there.
Do they have fiber internet?
Oh yeah, Nelson County does. Yeah, absolutely.
Across the entire county?
Absolutely.
Across the entire county?
Jesse
Rutherford
will take personal claim of that. Yeah. You got
building
water.
development south of Livingston and having people commute an hour to Charlottesville?
They're going to end up going to, is it Roanoke? Is it Roanoke the one that's closest?
Lynchburg?
Lynchburg. I think Lynchburg, yeah. It's 45 minutes from Lynchburg, 45 minutes. I'm telling you, brother, I have people in the space asking me to look for land out there. So the money people are starting to look out that way, right? So, this election is going to be important in Nelson County, which right now we got a couple of contested seats that haven't hit the wires yet.
South of Livingston for new development.
Yeah, I mean literally from the town.
Is that even the Carr? Is that Carr?
Yeah.
That's not another?
Yeah, that could be bleed over area. It could very well be. I think you're bleeding over between the two of them on that end of it. But so the people that are in the space are trying to look, frankly, where the path of
You got a boatload of realtors watching the program right now.
Yeah.
You got a boatload of electeds watching the program right now.
Well, I'm honored, and at one point maybe I do know what I'm talking about. But we'll
I think you do know what you're talking
we
about.
Disagree, though.
We
that's
disagree.
cool. And that's why I like doing this.
We
This is a lot of
absolutely
fun.
disagree on this.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I come from a very different.
Well, you're a realtor. You want housing.
Oh, even if I wasn't, I'd still believe in.
Yeah.
In
I'm a parent. I want kids to not learn
Yeah.
in trailers.
My problem, and we have, so nationwide, and I haven't done the math for here, but nationwide, people that make $75,000 more only can afford 20 to 25%, I can't remember the exact number, of the current listings out there. I haven't done the math on what 125,000, which is our area median income. My suspicion is that's probably around a $400,000 house is what they can afford, right? The traditional
$300,000 or $400,000 houses?
No, around 400. Then that's the traditional, right? Your PITI shouldn't be much more than 33% of your income, right? So I'm doing it off the top of my head. So that's probably around $400,000.
What's the price of new construction? $225 a foot? $250 a foot?
Well, I could.
Let's go builder grade. Let's not go custom.
Well, I could just
production.
I could just tell you.
$225, $250?
I could just tell you the only homes that are remotely in that price point is at Colonial Circle, and they're townhomes, and they're in the threes. Everything else in new construction's got a minimum of a strong 4.
What's Liberty is one of the most affordable builders out there, production builders out there. Would you say Liberty?
Liberty, you might be able to find something under 4. If you ask some questions and feedback, I can tell you exactly what's out there.
You were a Class A contract. You're a Class A contractor. You still have your Class A contractor's license.
I do.
You built much of Lake Monticello.
Not much.
The acres.
I built 600 out of 4,500.
It's 600 homes. New construction today, are we talking $225 a foot, $250 a foot?
Oh, so do you want to make a builder squirm? Never ask a square foot price. No, I will never answer a square foot price.
What rough back of the neck?
I will never answer a square foot
Okay, let's say
price.
$250.
I will never. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is.
Okay, I'll say $250 for builder grade. Is builder grade the right terminology there? Builder grade is entry point. You're not getting anything custom.
So the difference.
Maybe cutting some corners.
The difference between the terminology is production builders and custom.
Custom,
builders.
yeah.
Night and day.
Absolutely.
Night and day.
So let's say builder grade is synonymous with production. I'm going to use $250 a foot. And $250 I think is probably light.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think $250 is light. You find me a builder that can build.
So do we want to look at detached or attached?
Let's go detached.
Let's go detached.
Yeah. You find me a builder that could build something at $250 a foot. You better ask that builder a lot of questions, ladies and gentlemen. because that's over-promising and under-delivering waiting to happen
that's-
at $250 a foot.
That's a,
Mark that down, viewers and
what
listeners.
kind of guarantee is that?
That's over-promise and under-delivering.
What kind of taillight? What kind of a guarantee is that?
I hate the word guarantee.
Okay, it's called a taillight guarantee.
What's the taillight guarantee?
I mean, when you see the red taillights of the pickup truck, the guarantee just went away.
There you go. There you go. Let's say, just for the back of the napkin, it's $275 a foot. To keep it under $400,000 at $275 a foot, you're talking a home, ladies and gentlemen, that's a single-family detached home that is
What
$275.
What jurisdiction do we want to look at? Albemarle County?
Yeah, Albemarle County. You're talking about a 1,400 square foot home if you want to keep it under $400K at $275 a foot
So
for a builder grade result.
I'm going to look at sold year to date, Albemarle County.
Show's on fire right now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And I got a splitting headache.
Why you got a splitting headache? You're killing it.
Recovering from
You got a lot of brokers watching you right now.
recovering from this race last summer.
Very, very curious to hear Katie Pearl's thoughts, Carly Wagner's thoughts, Ray Cadell's thoughts, Gary Palmer jump in the mix right here. The folks at Long & Foster, at Nest and Real Estate 3 jump in the mix here.
So you want Albemarle County, new construction. There was 55 units, 55, this is in Carr, this is in Paragon, right? So there was 55 units closed. So that's single-family detached,
In which period?
year to date.
Okay.
So from January 1 to today on it, there was 55 sold. You want to do average or median?
Let's go, I like median.
Okay, medium, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 3,204 square feet. Sale price, the median sales price is $920,419,000. That equates to $308.85 per square foot.
308.85.
Yeah, just call it $309 a square.
And that's existing, that's not new.
This is new construction.
Oh, that's new construction.
We're looking at new construction.
Okay, 309.
Unless my hearing aid
Okay,
changed, I thought that's what
new
we were
construction,
doing.
okay.
New construction, single-family detached, Albemarle County.
Okay.
There's 55 units that closed. Median is 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 3,200 square feet. Median sales price is $920,308. If you want to do the average, it's even higher. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 3,200 square feet. 1.076 million is your median sales price. 321.58 on the square footage.
Direct message comes in from a builder locally that we both know.
Cool.
Jerry, do not use my name. Any viewer and listener that is being told they can have a single-family detached home built for less than $300 per square foot,
Yes, he just
better
proved it.
think twice
Just
about
proved
who
the
they're
number.
building
We
with.
just proved the number, AKA taillight thing. So you want to take a look at Fluvanna?
Yeah, Fluvanna. Literally a known builder watching the program saying, if you're being told you can get a home built for less than $300 a square foot, you better think twice who you're using as your builder.
And a custom?
Well, let's throw out custom. Custom, there's no chance in hell it's going to be in that,
Well,
that affordability range for a household at $75K.
So time out. So when you're talking about the production builders, the price is set. You don't get to negotiate square
course.
footage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In custom, you do.
Well, Liberty allows some tweaking of floor plans.
Oh, so does all of them do,
Yeah,
right?
right.
All of them have some level of it, but it's production. You pick from column A, column B, column C, and you start adding them up.
Different levels of production builders with what you
Custom
can pick,
is
though.
when you're designing the house
Yes.
with an architect and all that stuff. Fluvanna County, 30 units sold, median. We got 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1,900 square feet. Look at this, 390. You could not get much closer. 399,949. So call that 400,000. 221 square foot
In Fluvanna?
in Fluvanna. 30 units sold, new construction. Hang on a second.
So that family household that's clocking $75K can't do it in Albemarle County. Can't do it in the city of Charlottesville. You could potentially do it in Fluvanna. New construction. How much is that? All detached inventory?
I'm only doing detached. The
Okay.
reason I'm only doing detached is because the only real jurisdiction that has any amount of attached at the moment is Albemarle, right?
Right.
You're starting to see Green is picking up.
Right.
Definitely Fluvanna County is picking up, so you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to, I can even break out here if you hang on a second. If you want to know what Liberty's price per
Would
square
love
foot?
to know Liberty.
Okay, hang on one second. I've got to amend.
Liberty building some of the most affordable product right now. Would you say?
I'm going to tell you here in a minute.
Yeah. Liberty, and it's not shade. It's just they have a model that's dialed in. Liberty.
Yeah, they're dialed in.
Yeah.
You get a ton of house for the square for
Right.
the price.
Liberty has the model home out there by Keswick, right off Black Cat Road. If you guys travel in that area, it's the White House on the corner of Keswick Road and Black Cat Road. For an example here, Georgia Gilmore, Vanessa Parkhill
So
watching
in
the program.
Flavanna County, their Liberties to date has closed 11 units. That's in the whole county.
And Flavanna.
In Flavanna. You want to know what the median sales price is?
Tell me.
405.
Yeah.
So Liberty at the median sales price is above what I think this number is.
What a family household at 75,000 can afford.
I can't verify
Think
that.
about that, folks.
I didn't do the math, right? So nobody quote me on this. But you're at a median of 405, you're on an average of 430. It's interesting because the square footages are the same. The average is 1991 and the median is 1982. So it's roughly 10 square foot difference. So they're basically the same square footage in houses, right? It's just a matter of what upgrades they may have done, which is impacting the difference between average and median. But so, they're at north of 400 and they're roughly 221.
And Lottie Murray, welcome to the program. Thank you for watching the show. Multiple builders now watching the program now. Real Talk with Keith Smith. I will throw this wrinkle into the equation. These are price points for the quarter that just transpired.
These are sold from January 1 to literally to today.
So year to date. I can assure you that the cost of building a new home for the remainder of the year and into 2025 will be even more expensive.
So freaking Green, as we predicted, is rocking and rolling. They went from the same period last year, like 1 or 2 sold. They're at 33 already. They got 30. These are closed. And if I went and dumped it into, watch this, if I had pending in it,
What's the appetite for new projects?
It's over 50.
What would you say the appetite for new projects in Greene County is?
Oh, 0. At the moment, 0. I mean, they're trying to figure out the water that they've got going there. But they don't have...
Water and the schools.
But they don't have to. So the people that are, the builders and developers that are in position already, that have already got projects on the boards, that are already in the development, they're going to go do good. To go ahead and get new projects approved anywhere, maybe with the exception of Nelson County, right? When we've discussed the struggles of developing there, but I'm just telling you, look for that to start being on people's radars. But let's just talk Greene County.
I got a comment I want to relay to you from an elected official.
You ready for Greene County?
Please.
33 have sold year to date. These are sold units and closed. Median, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,723 square feet, 449, call it 441, is the median sales price, 250 a square foot. Average sales price is 248, 240, and that's 481,000 is the average sales price, 248. But the medians are 440. So we're north of 400 in Greene County, considerably north, almost at the halfway mark on the median sales price. You're looking at 250 square foot. There's 33 that have sold. And if I put in pending, that 33 jumps up to 50. So you have in Greene County, between January 1 and today, a total of 49, let's be accurate, 49 homes that have either, new construction homes, that have either been built, closed, or in the process of being built that haven't closed yet. That's what the pending is in it. And I'll tell you, if you go ahead and start talking to the builders out there, bet you they got more contracts in the pipeline that just haven't shown up on here yet. So we went in Greene County from 2 or 3 from the same period last year to 50. And I remember there was a couple of discussions with some Greene County Board of Supervisors last year that they were saying we're never going to have much over 30 or 40 units built in Greene County. You're going to see by the end of this year, that 49, if we have this conversation December 31, it's probably going to be 250. It'll be definitely 225. I'll bet you it'll be 250.
This comment comes in off the record from an elected official. Jerry, this is off the record. Regarding the tax increase, the thing I hear all the time from the public is how many services are lacking and how can Albemarle continue to approve more development when it hasn't adequately served the development it has. A significant part of that money from the tax increase will go to police and fire departments who are short-staffed. This is why it is problematic to talk about expanding the development areas or expanding residential uses in rural areas. Already, it is really hard to get fire trucks out to remote places. The more we sprawl, the more it will cost us to support the increased development. He continues, and I'll throw it to Keith. Basically, off the record from an elected official, folks in Albemarle County, basically the public, we got plenty of time. I know the owner of the network. Basically, the public...
I gotta pick up a granddaughter.
Basically, the public needs to decide, do you want more services because those aren't free, or do you want less services, lower taxes, and possibly more limitations on growth? Alternatively, we could find ways to expand commercial, industrial, tourism uses, which are way more revenue positive and use that revenue to pay for that services we need.
So two things on that. Low-hanging fruit. I'm going to give a low-hanging fruit. I'm going to give a personal experience from the accident that I helped this young lady with the other day because I got a bitch with the E911 system from Albemarle County. Maybe the elected officials can make some phone calls. Low-hanging fruit, do what Neil's been pushing. It's not going to produce a lot, but allow at least residential in the industrial commercial spaces. The traffic is there, the infrastructure is there, yada, yada, yada.
Transportation, public transportation.
Yeah. So that's a low-hanging fruit. We're not Richmond where you're going to have, help me out.
Scott's Addition.
Scott's Addition, thank you. That all of a sudden going to turn into this huge thing. We just don't have a lot of it, but it's low-hanging fruit and it's moving in the right direction and it's within the current existing 5%. It's an easy bunt. I would have done it a long time ago.
Katie Pearl watching the program.
So
she has this comment for you.
Well, let me get through. Katie, if you can give me a minute.
Yeah.
Let me get through to support the conversation about EMS in the rural area. So I'm on Route 53, heading in the other day. It's raining, and I'm watching this young person in a car.
Is this Fluvanna County?
Coming in, going too fast into the S-turns there. I backed off, and she flipped over the embankment, rolled on the top of a vehicle down the hill. Pulled over 100 feet in front of her, put on my four-way things. The EMT, the United States Marine Corps, kicked in, called 911. And I know a little bit about this because I used to run EMS for 20 years. When I got a hold of 911, I said, look, I've just crossed the Fluvanna County border thing. Call out Lake Monticello. It's 5 miles away. And they freaking sent people from downtown Charlottesville, from Albemarle County. It took them 25 minutes to get there. Could have had people there. And here's because I didn't notice at the time, when I'm on the phone, all the windows blow out. You know what's spread all over the road? Kids' toys, baby blankets. I couldn't see inside the vehicle, so I'm going, oh, shucks, I might have a real situation here. I need you to send EMS quickly. I got to render aid, because I didn't know what I had at the time. Opened up the door, and thank God it was just a one person. I was able to gain entry into the vehicle and help her out of the vehicle, because I was worried about it catching fire and all this kind of great stuff. But my point is, to whoever that elected official is, that should never happen. If I would have had trapped children, if I would have had somebody in life-threatening thing that I couldn't manage, and I had to wait 20 minutes for people to get, I had 5 minutes rescue squad away, I ended up getting on the phone and calling the chief of police, the chief of fire department, Richie Constantino at Lake Monticello. I said, man, dispatch units. And they got here long before Albemarle County. So, this thing is more problematic and more complicated than that. But if they want to fix something, that's the low-hanging fruit. Let mutual aid happen, right, between EMS services.
Jurisdictions communicating with their rescue personnel much more strategically.
I had to take it out at 911's hand. I literally hung up on 911. I said, we're done. And hung up on them, because at the moment I didn't know if I had kids in trouble. And I called Richie. I said, Richie, send units. And he sent units. And if I didn't do that, we would have been waiting for EMS forever. And thank God, nobody was seriously helped.
Keith Smith, guys, a hero, and he
Not a
does
hero.
not even wear a cape, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I do.
Keith Smith,
I do,
a
but-
hero.
but not-
That's only on Halloween.
And you have to talk to Yonna about that.
Okay. That was a little too.
That was the first fun we had. The first
The whole show
while.
was fun, dude. It's one of the best shows we've ever done.
We're just.
I couldn't get to all the comments. I should get to Katie Pearl's
Yeah, get
comment.
Katie real quick, and then I got it.
Literally, I couldn't get to the comments today. The show was on fire today.
What did Katie say?
She says, there is a ton of inventory coming on the market in Greene County
Yep.
out of the new Creekside neighborhood. Builders Ryan Holmes and Stanley Martin
Yep.
have some incredible price points with awesome amenities, beautiful clubhouse, pool, pickleball courts, playgrounds, walking trails, all that for just $95 a month with their HOA.
And they're at 400 clicks and up, 400K and up. And, you know, how we started this whole conversation about is who can afford them. So anyway.
She says this Creekside will become Greene County's version of Forest Lakes.
Oh, yeah.
There should be about 1,000 rooftops in Creekside in the next 3-ish years.
So, Katie, you've got 2,500 rooftops coming in the next 3 to 5 years. That's the only beginning of it. There is 500. There's at least another 1,500 that I'm aware of that will be coming out of the ground in the next 0 to 24 months. They're going to be pushing 250 a unit a year, and then they're going to cap out, and then it, you know, hit the 10-year mark, and then that'll be it.
Neil Williamson says, I was in a public meeting this morning where the Charlottesville building official indicated he was denied a permit reviewer position in fiscal year 2026.
Yeah. So that's not helping. So I will tell you, out in Seattle and Portland, because I'm part of what they've done out there, what they've done is the jurisdictions, and this is a big step for the city of Charlottesville, they've allowed third-party reviewers to do it.
Oof.
And the developers and builders and the nonprofits are more than happy to pay for it. More than happy to pay for it. Right now,
It seems like trouble.
they do it in the septic side, right?
Oh, I do know they do it.
Yeah.
We had the septic
Yeah.
review at our house.
Yeah. So it's okay with how you put waste into our ground. It's probably okay to go ahead and do that. Creekside is running right now. List price medium is $339. So you're right at $340 for single family detached.
The best shows we've done, Keith Smith.
Yeah. And I nursed the headache.
Hey, it sounds like you had a couple martinis last night.
I did not. I am.
You're on point.
I am. What do we call dry something?
Dry May for Keith Smith.
I am dry. I've been dry for a month. I'm trying to lose about another 15 pounds because when you do these 85, 105 mile rides, that 15 pounds, man, it makes a difference. So.
Keith Smith on point today, the star of Real Talk with Keith Smith. His brokerage, Yes Realty Partners, moving mountains for buyers and sellers. Yes Realty Partners, honest, trustworthy, communicative, a team of integrity. Yes Realty Partners.
So we just gained one house, so we're now up to 90.
Inventory, guys, is being throttled.
But we also had two.
How many did you lose? Yeah, so that was the net negative there.
Of one.
Judah Wickower behind the camera, the I Love CVille show, guys, at 12:30. So long, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
It was awesome. We did not get to all the comments today.